Majority of Americans now think civil war is likely. 24% think that is a good thing. Oh God. America is divided and battling many different internal wars over politics, culture, language, religion, TV shows. Is it possible all these internal divisions could culminate in a civil war? It's easy and logical to conclude that the United States today stands as close to the edge of civil war as it has since 1861. A broad variety of voices, including Republican and Democratic politicians, academics who study civil strife, and extremists on both ends of the spectrum, now accept the idea that civil war is either imminent or necessary. But today, we now have the proof. A new poll suggests a full 54 out of every 100 Americans believe a civil war is now inevitable, the highest number since the, quote, real civil war, unquote, more than 150 years ago. The poll was even more distressing that a full 24% believed that civil war was a good thing. They point to evidence that can seem persuasive. A blizzard of threats against FBI agents, judges, elected officials, school board members, and election supervisors, training camps where heavily armed radicals practice to confront their own government, and many polls showing that many Americans expect violent conflict. In the week following the Trump South Florida raid, the search word of civil war increased 1,000%, and the use of the word civil war in social media posts increased an astounding 3,000%. Oren Siegel, the vice president of Anti-Defamation League Center on Extremism, said, quote, "We are living in a country where disinformation, conspiracy thinking, and lies have resulted in deadly attacks. It's not exactly kumbaya in this society, but we have been going through this for a long time now, and I don't see people coming together in a more coherent organizing we saw prior to January 6th, unquote. Contrast that perspective with that of Stephen Marsh, author of, quote, The Next Civil War, Dispatches from the American Future, unquote, who posits that as extremist threats have become more lurid and specific, the rhetoric has leached into the mainstream, leading, for example, the Texas state government to spell out instances in which it would defy federal authority and the Texas Republican Party to declare President Biden the quote-unquote acting president and seek a voter referendum on seceding from the United States. The LGBTQ plus community is front and center in this discussion of a pending civil war. Strong right-wing voices have incorporated the narrative of anti-LGBTQ plus views in political speeches, in state houses across America, in legislation, and in political campaigns and advertising. In 2022, the LGBTQ plus community has experienced a growing culture war against drag queens, trans community, children in schools, gay marriage, and more. These actions will likely be front and center in the threats of greater actions, even violence, as experts are bracing for renewed discussion of civil war as the November 8th midterm elections approach and political talk grows more urgent and heated. 24% thinks that war is a good thing. I want these 24% of people to look in the mirror and repeat after me. War is bad. War kills people. War is bad. But
but I think the major issue with those 24% is they're not even willing to look in a mirror and see any sense of logic, reality, or truth.
Yeah.
So this is what we're dealing with: a total lack of actual reality.
Do y'all believe the poll? At the end of the day, if we were at Tucker Carlson tonight, and we were guests on Tucker Carlson, Tucker would discuss my boyfriend would discuss it's fake, it's fake, it's fake news. What do we think? Do we believe 54% and 24%?
I do believe that. I mean, and the 54%, that's just saying I believe it is possible. And that doesn't mean you're supporting it. It's the 24% number, like you said.
No. The 54% say it's inevitable.
Or inevitable, but that doesn't. Yes, but that doesn't mean that they're supporting it. They're just saying that's the road that we're going down. That is inevitable.
54 out of 100 Americans believe we are going to have a civil war.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I don't believe America. And stay with me. This is a thought, but I don't believe America has ever had a civil war. We had a 4-year-long, 5-year-long insurrection. Perhaps it was more organized than the January 6th one. It was certainly larger. More people died, obviously. But the Confederate Army, they were no legal entity. As a 501c3, we have more legal recognition than the Confederate government ever had. They were just a bunch of treasonous rebels running around in uniforms, just like those yahoos out in Idaho and Montana and East Washington go around calling it the American Redoubt. No, the American Civil War was an insurrection where people like Robert E. Lee were just traitors. They were simply
acknowledge
traitors.
your observation.
Yeah.
What's your point behind it?
My point is that we are going to have conflicts within our communities, but it won't be a civil war. It's going to be idiots. It's going to be yahoos. It's going to be these people who think that they know better and that might makes right because they've got 100 AK-15s.
You know, I'm not sure. As more and more focus on this conversation takes place, I think your opinion might change. I watched Bill Maher Friday night on Real Time, and Katty Kay from BBC, the lead anchor at BBC, was on, and she is getting ready to do. She's done a lot of filming about this issue of the growing attitude in America, and part of her interview, she came to Florida and interviewed seniors. In Florida.
Seniors meaning not high school, meaning older.
Older Americans, in older Floridians, the villages. And how many people that she interviewed that were seniors in Florida that said, couples, that said it was their democratic duty to pick up arms and defend the democracy. Now, of course, what they're talking about is defend their democracy against Bidens and AOCs. I don't know.
The woke.
America, and that seniors thought it was their democratic duty to pick up guns, and that they would do it, and that one couple, she reports, she said in her conversation, said, we have a responsibility to do it, and therefore we will.
Wow.
Well, my hairdresser, she follows these Cuban leaders, these Cuban people on TikTok, right? And so one of the people that she loves is constantly saying, like, hey, these white supremacists have been planning for years to overthrow all of you. You guys went to Cuba for a better life. Well, you better go get a gun and prepare yourself, because once this civil war does happen, it's going to happen. So it's not just, white folks saying this, like, black and brown people are also very fearful about this happening. I mean, 54% is a very high number, Al.
Yeah, we're gonna stay on this story. In fact, we're going to do a lot about this story in coming weeks, leading up to November 8th. LGBTQ plus news is vital for our community and for the broader world as a whole. We have enough enemies at Fox News. Tucker, Sean, and Lara are loud. We need passionate allies. Happening Out television network, Queer News Tonight, and It's Happening Out are literally out of the closet and into the headlines. Our community needs your support. Like this broadcast and subscribe now to ensure the growth of the entire LGBTQ plus community.